skies, and on every occasion that you do or don't smile, and every time you die.
So welcome to another episode of Sensible Secondhand Reviews, the series where we go around the country and find practical cars that you can buy for between £1,000 and £5,000. Indeed, this car we're driving today is so sensible that I'm wearing my sensible corduroy jacket. Today we're driving this 2014 Ford Fiesta 1.25 Zetec. It's very kindly been lent by Rob, who's a fan of the channel, and we're up in Cheshire today. Lovely day actually. So this is a Mark VII Ford Fiesta. They've been around, well, since the first generation came out in 1976. The Mark VII was launched in 2008, and with these, often in other countries they're called something else, but in Britain we refer to them as the Mark VII. This is a facelifted car. The facelift occurred in late 2012, and they did various things, just smartening up the nose. It looks a little bit like an Aston Martin grille, but I couldn't possibly say that was the designer's intention, because Aston Martin wasn't owned by Ford at the time. This engine has been around a long time. It was introduced originally in the Ford Escort XR3i in 1991, so it's a very well proven unit. It's known as the Zetec S or the Duratec or the Sigma. It's all the same thing really, and in this case generating 82 horsepower. There were myriad engines available for the Mark VII Fiesta, starting with a 1 litre engine. Now, in the post-facelift cars, there was a non-turbo version of this, and it generated 80 horsepower. The 3 turbocharged versions of this, known as the Ecoboost, or in some cases the Ecoboom engine, because, well, they're not always that reliable, generated 100, 125, 140 horsepower. The later unit was only available for a short time in the post-facelift cars. There was also a 60 brake horsepower version of this 1.25 litre engine. I wouldn't recommend that one so much because it's slow. It does 0 to 60 in about 17 seconds. It's 1.25, 82 horsepower though is much better. In the pre-facelift cars there was a 1.4 engine generating 96 horsepower, and also there were 3 normally aspirated 1.6 engines with 105, 120 and 134 horsepower. Then we get on to the really serious stuff, the 1.6 Ecoboost engines. Again, they do have their problems because they sometimes caught fire. Yes, that's absolutely true. Those are found in the Fiesta ST, which I'm sure a lot of you are excited about, because that is one of the cars that seems to be on the scene at the moment. And in that particular application, it's 182 horsepower, or in case of the ST200, 200 horsepower. The trim levels available in a Mark VII Fiesta are, well, there's 29 of them, so we won't be covering all of them right now because I just can't remember all of them. In post-facelift guys, they were studio style Zetec, titanium, Zetec S and ST. There are probably some others I've missed, but we'll go over them a little bit later. One thing I'm noticing straight away about driving this car, and I have driven one of these before, but not for some time, is how refined the car is. if you compare this with, I don't know, Mark III Kia Rio or an MG3, something like that, both of which we featured on the channel before, then the level of refinement is exceptionally good. It's astonishingly good. I'm actually very impressed at that point of view. I mean, the way this car drives is excellent in every way. It really, really has been thought out by some really, really clever people. The ride and handling is all you would ever expect. It's just been set up really nicely. It's a nice manual gearbox in this car. Only a 5-speed, but that's okay. Everything you kind of feel, the pedals, the way the car rides so well, and the steering being so precise, it's clearly been engineered to be as easy to use as possible, but also set up for people who like driving. Because if you're going to get one of these as a first car, and to be honest, a lot of people do have a Fiesta as a first car, then that's what you need. And I'm pleased to say that it delivers, and it delivers in spades. Well, viewers, it's a beautiful day today, and I had the chance to walk around this 2014 Ford Fiesta 1.25 Zetec. It really does look quite nice in this colour. The Zetec is the most popular trim for one of these, and it's easy to understand why. You've got things like the alloy wheels, electric windows in the front, and this metallic paint often would have been thrown in, I think, as well. It's easy to sort of forget about actually what a handsome little car these are, because, you know, these have been the best-selling cars in this country for so long. It's well over 20 years now, I think. This one's got the optional parking sensors fitted, which is quite handy depending on, you know, what your point of view is. I do apologise for my shadow being in the way. There's not much I can do about that, unfortunately. Boot on this car, let me just move that out of the way because it's much easier to lift the boot carpet up with that one anyway, is around 290 litres. I've heard figures of 278 and things. Unfortunately, this doesn't have a spare wheel in it. It was an option by the time this car came out in 2014, which is a bit annoying, but otherwise, if you put that back inside, we've got hooks for the shopping, and there's a boot light as well. One thing I don't see in here, although the shape's quite good, the load lip is very high, but that's pretty normal for this type of car. One thing I don't see is a 12-volt socket. I can't seem to see this in here. There doesn't seem to be one. It's a bit annoying, really, but you know, never mind. Boot itself is pretty easy to open and close. And I do think these alloy wheels look rather nice as well. The colour is, I think, is quite common on these cars. I don't remember the name of it exactly. But with the facelift that this car had in late 2012, I think they do sort of look quite nice. We've got a really, really sort of metallic sheen going on here with this paint. So if we get into the back, I'll show you just how much room there is in my driving position, which probably is not going to be a lot. One thing you do notice when you're comparing this with something like an MG3 is the fact that the rear room's a bit restricted. So I haven't altered Rob's driving position because he's about the same height as I am, but if I want to actually sit here, I'm going to put my knees in here, and it does this really annoying thing with the headrests where if you're sitting there, you haven't put that up, it's right in the middle of my back. You do get two door pockets, which is handy. A lot of cars this class you just get one, like a Kia Rio. Just manual windows in the back of a Zetec. I think that's a sort of Ford thing. They want you to pay more for, I don't know, a titanium or something like that. Like the facelifted dashboard looks quite nice. The buttons are still reminiscent of, you know, one of those old Nokia phones from the early 2000s. But the piano black, which are covered in fingerprints by, you know, people, does lift it a little bit. The only thing is, if you can see on the right hand side of the steering wheel that there's no buttons, and obviously again it's just a thing to make you want to pay a little bit more. But yeah, it's not too bad in here. The only thing is there's no door bins whatsoever. There's no armrest in the back of here. There's not even a third headrest in this. I think it only comes on the top spec model, which is really weird. Door cards are just plain and just sort of hard black plastic, but then again, I'm trying to think of a car in this class which doesn't have them. That's not like an Audi or a Volkswagen. Most cars in this class have door cards, but the black hard plastic. So there we go. Just get out without falling over. There we go. Managed to do it. So if I get into the front, it's pretty straightforward getting in. It's no real problem, as you'd expect from, you know, the millions and millions of people every year who buy these. It's actually got a soft touch dashboard in here, and the facelifted cars do look and feel a bit better, although I think the heat and ventilation controls do feel a bit cheap. They're not as cheap as a pre-facelift MG3, but they do feel a little bit cheap. Right, I'll get the key out of my pocket and we'll switch the car on. So this car's only done about 28,000 miles. It's a very low mileage example. If we go on here, hopefully if I press that button, the whole thing's not going to, oh, it's that button there, just press that, let's turn that right down so we don't get copyright infringement from Gloria Gaynor. This being just the Zetec, we don't have a colour screen in the middle. I have actually driven one of these with a colour screen in the middle and sat nav, and yeah, it wasn't too bad. But the sort of effect of having this miles away is, well, it just doesn't make this whole set look particularly good. It's not actually that bad to operate something like this. It's it could be worse. The sort of buttons are down here, just like it would have been on a good old Nokia 6210 or something like that from the early 2000s. This cubby hole is a little bit useless. That thing will just fall out of there. We do, however, in this car have an aux in and USB as well as a 12-volt socket. That's pretty good. In some other trims you can get mood lighting for the cup holders. We don't have that here. Handbrake's actually in quite a good position. Looks nice. There would be an armrest if it was a higher trim. Yes, it is my cable in the way. I'm using a proper microphone today. Let's have a look at this glove box and see. Oh no, I don't think my secret mission documents are going in today. I don't think so. No. No, whatever way you look at it, my secret mission documents are not going in. However, I think I can probably put them in the door bin, just like that, which is fine. So, air conditioning is standard on this particular trim. Some of the lower ones, such as the Studio M Starley, wouldn't get that. Piano black inserts, as I said. Nice chrome door handles on this Zetec as well. And steering wheel controls. Headlamp switch is nicely defined. No, nothing like automatic lights and wipers on this car, but most people don't really need that kind of thing, to be honest. This is not bad. I like the seat fabric, actually. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's actually better than I remember when I last drove one of these. Let's have a look at the engine. So this is the 1.25 litre Zetec S, or Sigma, or Duratec unit, whatever you want to call it. It's been around in Ford cars for a long time, which generates 82 horsepower, this particular configuration. These 1.25 Sigma engines do actually have a timing belt, so to make sure that's been changed if you're buying one of these that's older or has a higher mileage. But yeah, they are pretty good, reliable engines, to be honest. The Ecoboost ones are 1 litres, not so good, but yes, these do make a good choice. I did forget a little bit earlier, viewers, to mention that there might have been some diesels available in the Mark VII Ford Fiesta, but particularly as one of them was the infamous DLD 416. We don't talk about diesels on this channel! So I'm on my way now to take the car back to Rob, and I've really enjoyed my time with this. I actually drove one of these when we were on a secret mission to south of France. When we actually hired one. I think it was the 1.4, I'm not entirely sure. And I just remember driving around the Riviera in one of these with the air conditioning on, just being very impressed. We got it off onto the autoroute and did 81 miles per hour, which is the speed limit there, and it was pretty good. It felt really solid. And I'm hoping that the camera's not shaking around too much today. I do apologise for the mount being in the way, which is what always seems to happen on Sensible Secondhand Reviews and no budget reviews. But it's just a really pleasant little car to drive. I would probably go for this engine or the 1.4, depending on whether I was able to have a pre or post facelift car. There was the power shift automatic available. I think it was a 1.6. That's not a gearbox I've heard very good things about. I think you know, one of these, if you can stick with a standard 5-speed or the 6-speed manual in some of the trims, then that's the best way to go, really. I just like this very precise steering. I like the driving position, although it's a little bit high. All the pedals feel really good. It's very easy to drive. It's very difficult to stall as well. Apparently there's a stall prevention feature in it. It's just a lovely car, and I can see why they just keep on selling so many of them, and why it's the nation's favourite car. It's not really difficult to see why. So far on the channel we've had a Mark II, we've had a Mark VI, and now we've had this, and I'm looking forward to adding more generations of the Fiesta to the repertoire. I hope you've enjoyed this drive out today in the Cheshire sunshine. Okay viewers, it's time to look at the enormous list of trims that this car was available in. And my gosh, there are an awful lot of them. So here we go. Studio, Style, Style Plus, Zetec, Zetec S, Titanium, Titanium Individual, Titanium X, ST Line, ST Line Black, ST2, ST3, ST200, Centura, Econetic, Edge, Edge Econetic, Metal, S1600, ST Line Red, Titanium, Econetic, Zetec Black, Zetec Blue, Zetec Econetic, Zetec S Black, Zetec S Red, and Zetec White. That's an awful lot of trim levels. The places where this car's made, or was made I should say, because it went out of production in 2017, is extraordinary as well. It was made in Germany, Spain, Mexico, Brazil, China, Thailand, Vietnam, Taiwan, India, Venezuela and Russia. Very popular car all around the world, although it is more popular in Britain than in a lot of the parts of the continent. Some of the issues that I've read about are interior trim rattles, electrical faults, trim problems, the 1.6 and 1 litre Ecoboost engines that we've already talked about. Reverse gear can fail, there are water leaks, none of the issues are present on this car by the way. It does have electric power steering, which isn't to everyone's cup of taste. You know, an MG3 for example has a hydraulic system and the steering feel is a little bit better on that, if I'm honest. But overall it's a car that's quite difficult to criticise, to be honest. So viewers, should you consider a Mark VII Ford Fiesta? Well, absolutely. There are masses of these around for between £1,000 and £5,000. If you avoid the Ecoboost engines, then they can be very reliable. They're really, really nice to drive. You know, some of the plastics are a bit hard, but most of the rivals have hard plastics as well. The rear legroom's not as generous as some other cars in its class as well, but if you don't carry passengers that frequently, then that might not be a problem for you. The heated front screen, a unique Ford option until a few years ago, which is fitted to this car, is brilliant. I think it's really a case with this, rather than saying, you know, what are the reasons to buy one, it's almost one of the reasons not to buy one. You know, it's not perfect. There are issues with these, but in terms of a sensible second-hand buy for between £1,000 and £5,000, particularly as a first car or even a second car for someone, again, these are quite hard to beat. Thank you for watching this episode of Sensible Secondhand Reviews. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, like this video, leave a comment below. Also visit my social media links, which are in the description below. And if you wish me to source a car for you, it doesn't have to be a Fiesta, it could be all sorts of things. Then visit my website, which is also in the description below. Thank you.